A group of Sydney bikers were riding west when they saw a girl about to jump off a bridge, so they stopped. George, their leader, a big burly man of 53, got off his Harley, walked through a group of gawkers, past the police officer who was trying to talk her down off the railing, and said, "Hey, baby, what you doing up there on that railing?" Said, "Doing a jump." While he didn't want to appear sensitive, George didn't want to miss this to be a legend opportunity either, so he asked, "Well, before you jump, honey babe, why don't you give old George here your best last kiss?" So, with no hesitation at all, she leaned back over the railing and did just that. It was a long, deep, lingering kiss followed immediately by another, even better one. After they breathlessly finished, George got a big thumbs-up approval from his biker buddies, the onlookers, and even the police officer. "Wow," said George. "That was the best kiss I have ever had. That's a real talent you're wasting, Sugar Shorts. You could be famous if you rode with me. Why the hell are you going to jump?" The girl replies, "My parents don't like me dressing up like a girl." An old man goes into a restaurant and is seated. All the waitresses are gorgeous. A particularly waitress wearing a very short skirt, wigs that won't quit, came to his table and asked if he was ready to order. "What would you like, sir?" He looks at the menu and then scans her beautiful frame top to bottom, then answers a quickie. The waitress turns and walks away in disgust. After she regains her composure, she returns and asks again, "What would you like, sir?" Again, the man thoroughly checks her out and again answers a quickie, please. This time her anger takes over. She reaches over and slaps him across the face with a resounding smack and storms away. A man sitting at the next table leans over and whispers, I think it's pronounced Quichy. Then a girl says to her mama, "Mommy, when you were away at work, a strange lady came around." "Not now," says Mummy. "Wait until Daddy gets home." So they wait until Daddy gets home, and then Mummy says, "Now, dear, what were you saying about Daddy and the strange lady?" And Daddy starts to say something, but Mummy says, "You keep quiet. I'll be talking to my attorney in the morning. Carry on, dear." Says the little girl, "Daddy told me to stay downstairs while they went upstairs, but I followed them without Daddy seeing me. And I saw them hugging and kissing at the top of the stairs. Then they went into your bedroom and shut the door, but I went up and looked through the keyhole." "Clever girl," purrs Mummy. "What could you see through the keyhole?" "I saw them hugging and kissing some more, and then they started to take each other's clothes off, and they carried on until they had nothing on, and then the lady got on the bed and Daddy got on top of her." "Yes," says Mummy. "And then what happened?" The little girl confidently says, "Then they did what you and Uncle Jack did when Daddy was in Vancouver last year." And the elderly man is stopped by the police around 2 a.m. and is asked where he is going at this time of night. The man replies, "I am on my way to a lessons about alcohol abuse and the effects it has on the human body, as well as smoking and staying out late." The officer then asks, "Really? Who is giving that lecture at this time of night?" The man replies, "That would be my wife." Andrew the drover from a huge cattle station in the Australian outback appeared before St. Peter at the pearly gates. "Have you ever done anything of particular merit?" St. Peter asked. "Well, I can think of one thing," the drover offered. "Once on a trip to the back blocks of Broken Hill out in New South Wales, I came across a gang of bikers who were threatening a young Sheila. I told them to leave her alone, but they wouldn't listen. So I approached the largest and most heavily tattooed biker and smacked him in the face, kicked his bike over, ripped out his nose ring, and threw it on the ground. I yelled, 'Now back off, or I'll kick the life out of a lot of you.' St. Peter was impressed. 'When did this happen?' He replies, 'A couple of minutes ago.'" A man visited the pastor, a woman well known for her charitable impulses. "Pastor," he said in a broken voice, "I wish to draw your attention to the terrible plight of a poor family in this neighborhood. The father is dead, the mother is too ill to work, and the 9 children are starving. They are about to be turned into the cold, empty streets unless someone pays their rent, which amounts to $900. How terrible!" exclaimed the preacher's wife. "May I ask who you are?" The sympathetic visitor applied his handkerchief to his eyes. He sobbed, "I'm the landlord." A young woman brings home her fiancé to meet her parents after dinner. Her mother tells her father to find out about the young man. The father invites the fiancé to his study for a drink. "So what are your plans?" The father asks the young man. "I am a Bible scholar," he replies. "A Bible scholar? The father says, "Admirable. But what will you do to provide a nice house for my daughter to live in, as she's accustomed to?" "I will study," the young man replies, "and God will provide for us." "And how will you buy her a beautiful engagement ring, such as she deserves?" asks the father. "I will concentrate on my studies," the young man replies, "and God will provide for us." And children, Asks the father, how will you support children? Don't worry, sir, God will provide, replies the fiancé. The conversation proceeds like this, and each time the father questions him, the young idealist insists that God will provide. Later, the mother asks, how did it go, honey? The father answers, the bad news is he has no job and no plans. The good news is he thinks I'm God. A man walks on the campus of Yale University. He walks up to a student and asks, where's the bathroom at? The student responds haughtily, here at Yale, we're taught not to end a sentence with a preposition. The man, realizing his terrible, unforgivable mistake, corrects himself. Where's the bathroom at, asshole? With the help of a fertility specialist, a 65-year-old woman has a baby. All of her relatives come to visit and meet the newest member of their family. When they ask to see the baby, a new mom says, not yet. A little later, they ask to see the baby again once more. She says, not yet. Finally, they ask can we see the baby? And the mother says, when the baby cries. Why do we have to wait until the baby cries? Mom says, because I forgot where I put it. A 95-year-old woman at the nursing home received a visit from one of her fellow church members. How are you feeling? The visitor asked. Oh, said the lady, I'm just worried sick. What are you worried about, dear? Her friend asked. You look like you're in good health. They are taking care of yourself, aren't they? Yes, they are taking very good care of me. Well, what are you worried about? Her friend asked again. The lady leaned back in her rocking chair and slowly explained her major worry. Every close friend I ever had's already died and gone on to heaven. I'm afraid they're all wondering where I went. The farmer is in the middle of plowing his field when his tractor runs out of gas. He needs to get back to the farm, but it's too far for him and his dog, old Joe, to walk. He wanders out to the road and flags down a sports car. The driver says, I'll give you a ride, but that dog can't get in my car. The farmer says, don't worry. Old Joe will keep up. The driver decides to show off and open up the engine for max speed. Just as he's going into fifth gear, he looks out the window and sees old Joe right beside him. In amazement, he slams on the brakes and old Joe comes to a halt. The driver jumps out, exclaiming, he's the most incredible dog I've ever seen. Is there something special about that collar he's wearing? The farmer shakes his head and says, that's not a collar. That's his asshole. He's not used to stopping that fast. The sadhu who performed miracles had come to their village. The villagers were delighted. Every morning and evening, they would gather at the temple with specially prepared delicacies as offerings to the sadhu. When Tenley Raymond heard of this, he smelled a rat. He went to the temple and sat near the holy man. The sadhu began reciting shlokas. To Raman's surprise, he went on repeating the same shloka over and over again. Raymond realized that he was a fraud. Suddenly, he leaned forward and plucked a strand of hair from the sadhu's beard. I have the key to heaven, he shouted triumphantly. The villagers looked startled. This sadhu is so great that if I keep the hair from his beard with me, I will be blessed forever, said Raymond. Immediately there was a scramble as the villagers rushed to get hold of the hair from the sadhu's beard. The frightened sadhu ran for his life and was never heard of again. One day there were 3 astronauts, a blonde brunette and a redhead, eating together. The brunette said, hey, you guys, we were the first people in outer space. We should be proud of that. And they said, yeah, we are. Then they start to eat again when the redhead says, hey, you guys, we were the first ones on the moon. We should be proud of that too. They said, yeah, we are. Blonde starts thinking, and about 1 hour later, she says, you guys, you know how we were the first one outer space and the first ones on the moon? They said, yeah, so the blonde said, we should be the first ones on the sun too. The redhead says, you crazy blonde. If we got within a 100-mile radius of the sun, we would burn up and die. The blonde replies, don't be silly. We wouldn't go during the day. We would go at night.